Good evening, and welcome back to the Vegas October 1 Sounds, the Hunter Chronicles. Tonight, again we're talking about September 29th, 2017, and this time we're talking about merging and comparing the three basic time charts, which are the FIT, the Lock Interrogation Report, and the MGM videos. And we'll do that graphically, and we'll see how it turns out. Now, this video is the culmination of much work, and these graphs are not exactly the same graphs that I use in my initial investigation, because I didn't take the time to produce these complex and intricate visual presentations as I was doing my work. I did all my work pretty much statically using LibreOffice and the tools there, which produce static charts, not these great dynamic charts. So let's get right to it. and see what's in store for tonight. Alright, so merge and compare, that's what we're going to be doing tonight. So basically, you're going to take these charts, and we're going to take the three primary charts, and then we're going to do all possible combinations. We're going to take the fit versus the lock interrogation report, the fit versus the MGM videos versus the lock interrogation report. So first, let's get a look at how they look, because unless you go back and look at all the other videos, you probably really don't remember exactly what these charts look like. And besides, I have tweaked and improved them just a tad to make things a little bit more accurate, so that this merging and comparing process is as precise as I care to make it at this point in time. Now, of course, the first thing I want to do is add yet another chart, and this time I'm going to talk about the elevators. So I took the lock interrogation report. You know, I estimated where the elevator rides up and down would be, and then I put them into this chart. Turned out they were a total of 7 trips, 4 up, 3 down, and there around the 3 o'clock time frame, you'll see that there are 2 trips, even though it looks like 1, and that's when he did the VIP check-in at room 134. Now let's look at these things side by side, just so everybody remembers what they look like. There's the fit report, there's the MGM, and there's the lock interrogation report. Now we're just going to start shuffling these around and overlaying one on top of the other, and see what we come up with. Here we go. So first is the MGM videos versus the lock interrogation report. Just slide that puppy right over there, and whammo. We see that, you know, except for some minor things, it fits in real nice. And I'll talk about that in another video down the road as to why does this fit in so nice. But anyway, there's no major conflicts. Next we'll do that MGM, and we'll compare it to the fit. Yeah, we got problems here, because up there where it says he was gambling, we got that little red bar at the top, which indicates the Ragoon mini mark. That's a problem. And then we also have a couple of other smallish things, one near the sushi and one near the end of the gambling thing up there. Nothing tremendously large, but the Rangoon is the primary one there. So we got some conflicts. So now that we've done all the comparisons between the videos and the other ones, let's compare the fit time chart to the lock interrogation. There we go. Slammo bammo. Yep, you see, we got some big problems here, major conflicts. We've got at the top, we've got over a conflict between it says gambling all night and room activity. We got things added to the area after he finished gambling by the lock interrogation report, never mentioned, etc., etc. Well, and we'll continue on, because I'll do another graphic that shows precisely what's happening. So there we are. What a nice little way of visually finding problems. Now let's take a little bit different way of looking at this and go down the conflicts one by one between the fit report and the lock interrogation reports. And we do only that one because the MGM stuff and the elevator stuff, of course, we just merge right on into the final result on the side, which shows them all merged, and the best estimate from me as to what actually may have happened if you presume that Paddock was the only person involved with producing all these things. It's not clear to me that that was the case, but you know, just to answer the question, is it possible, I lay it out as though it was there, and it looks pretty possible, but there's still things even after that, such as up there at the top, far right, where you see when he's in the room there that there's activity where the door was open and people could have come and gone, and similarly at the very bottom, people could have come and gone, and you know, there's just other things in there that bother me. But so here we have all the time charts that I've produced for this day, and you can get a very good graphical indication. Now I'll run down and we'll do the comparison between the fit report and the lock interrogation. And so what I'm going to do is basically anytime there's an area of the lock interrogation report that has blank, namely dark, just for example right up here at the top, we see that it's dark and the fit report says that he was gambling. So I'm going to take a piece of that over there and just slide it right on over into the dark area, which I call merging, resulting in the thing on the far right which says gambling. And I mark these things in yellow in that darkish area there on the right of the screen. And the legend that just popped up with the green, yellow, and thing at the bottom will show by the coloring and by the graphics what's happening. The green says there's no conflict, really nothing needs to be changed. The silent said that we merged somebody somewhere. And while it's still a problem in terms of the foundation, laying the foundation for all of this report, it's not a major big deal in terms of showstopper. For example, at the very top up there where you see the gambling, as I just said, the lock interrogation report is silent for that hour, and henceforth he could have been doing anything. So if the fit report says he was gambling, we'll take him at their word, slide it over there. All right, let's just let this thing roll. Oh, of course, and if there's a major conflict, I always favor the lock interrogation report, because the lock interrogation report is always proven reliable, precise, and accurate. So letting it roll forward, we just follow these things down. The next one is the major conflict with the party or the room activity there, from a little bit before 1 till a little bit after 2, and the statement that the fit report says he was gambling all evening, and mark it in red because it's a major conflict, it's a major problem. Next one I show is the merge. The black area of the lock interrogation report is now filled in with the fit report statement that he was gambling all evening, producing the thing on the right. Again, another merge. This time the the fit report was silent, and the lock interrogation report suggests that somebody was in the room, which that's a merge of the lock interrogation report to fill in the blanks in the fit. Although the ultimate merge is, predominantly lock interrogation-istic. And then we got the sushi merge. The lock interrogation report is again silent. There's 1,300 hours, and fit report said sushi. It slides on over there pretty nice without any major problems. And then we got the room cleaning. Well, the fit report doesn't jive accurately enough for me anyway with the lock interrogation report, so I color it red, saying that's a major conflict. And then we got the check-in next, which will be merged into the lock interrogation report with not too many problems. And then both the fit report and the lock interrogation report suggest that people were in the rooms, so that's green there, the only green. And then here down at the bottom, we've got room activity for both rooms that was never mentioned in the fit report. So a slight omission, but again marked in red because anytime that door is open, there's going to be problems. All right, now let's take all that and everything I know about the 29th, and not in great detail, but enough detail to lay out what the day looks like. And this is my interpretation. There could be other interpretations as to what would happen if Paddock was the only person responsible for all of this activity. So we start by laying out again our merged graph there. And then on the left hand side we'll have a casino floor activity. If he was downstairs, then everything's there, and we'll just lay that out now. And as you can see, we got Rangoons up at the top after he was at the high limit slots, and then back when he's gambling again at the high limit slots, lunch, sushi, VIP check-in. All those things occurred at the casino level. And on the right now, we're going to bring in the stuff that happened up or near the 32nd floor, and I'll just bring it all in at once. Here we go. Poof. So you see, now we have the major events that happened. Marked in yellow are things which required staff or other people interacting with Paddock or being on the 32nd floor. Although the ticket closed, I'm not sure if that really requires anybody to be on the 32nd floor, but it was something that happened that's related to what happened to the on the 32nd floor. So the yellow means interaction with other people, potential interaction. For example, Holdridge, he didn't actually interact with Paddock, but it is a potential interaction. So starting at the top, the activities on the 32nd floor are related to the early morning AM hours where somebody was in the room, and if it's again with Paddock, then we're going to say he changed his shirt, and then you either had a guest there or a party there or maybe something like a gun deal going on in those 2 hours. Then we skip down to the next 32nd floor activity, which is him in his room for 6+ hours, and I'm going to say he was sleeping. That would fit with his habits and pattern. Doesn't mean he was, doesn't mean I know he was, but it would be reasonable to presume that he was. And of course he didn't sleep all the time, because along comes Holdridge, and Holdridge is up there to check the stink in room 134, which somebody said, and we got to presume it's Paddock here because that's what they're saying, reported it and had Holdridge come up and check it out, which means that Paddock didn't sleep the full time till noon. Must have woke up, sometime after 11. So then we have the time after the sushi, where Paddock came back to his room just a few minutes before the staff were over there preparing room 134 to be occupied. And then immediately after they were done with 134, one of them came over and cleaned room 135. And also, I'm going to, at this time, based upon interactions with other people and thoughts about it, place the refrigerator delivery at this hour. And I don't want to get into that right now. We'll do that at another time. But I moved it from the early AM hours to the time at which they cleaned, which was starting at 2 p.m. So, and then the next activity that we have up on the 32nd floor, of course, is after the VIP or the check-in to room 134. When a Paddock comes back, he enters room 134, goes in and checks it, diddles around, comes back out, goes back in, comes back out, goes over through the hallway into room 135. He did not use the adjoining doors at that time. And then he locks both rooms. And they stay locked until, close to, sometime after 9 o'clock. And I call it secret stuff because nobody said anything about what he's doing. He had the room locked, had to be secret. He could have been sleeping, I doubt it. He could have had people there in the room. He could have been assembling guns. He could have been, I don't know, he could have been doing anything. We don't know. But it is curious, and it's odd, and it's something that needs to be addressed and have an answer. All right, and then we have him, doing some card testing. And then we have there at the 10 o'clock hour, we have the food delivery being made right at the same time that Garcon is over there at room 135 trying to enter his suite on the wrong floor. So card testing, dinner, Garcon, food delivery, ticket closed, and then that wraps up the day. So this is a beautiful little colorful chart showing the major events as I perceive them for the 29th, for operating on the theory that Paddock was responsible for all the activity. All right. Now, outside of that, there are also some things, there's some fine little details looking at these charts that will have to be addressed in the future. And the first one is the fact that up there, right after the Rangoon, there's a little bit of time between the time on that video and when Paddock potentially could have taken the elevator up and when he actually enters the room. And we have to explain that, because potentially that gap could have allowed Paddock to, find somebody and hook up with them, or meet somebody there in the hallway right outside the elevators near center core. The next little detail is something very similar there. After when he returned, the image of him walking through center core and the image of him riding the elevator up both overlap onto the time that we thought he was gambling, meaning that something's slightly wrong there, and the gap afterward is too large. So once again, we have a situation similar to the gap after the Rangoons, and we start to see a pattern. And so the question becomes, what's happening there? And then the same thing occurs down here with the image of him after returning from sushi and walking through center core with his nice spiffy white shirt. It appears to be off a little bit. So the small details have to be examined, as I explained, so that we can either confirm or eliminate the possibility that Paddock was meeting somebody. I'll let you know right now that I have done some research on this, and I know for a fact that the Rangoon's clock is off by about 4 minutes. So that would shift the Rangoon time down by about 4 minutes in the time chart, making the gap between the Rangoon video and the arrival and the potential elevator trip and the arrival at room 134 closer together, and thereby reducing the probability that Paddock met up with somebody. And so based upon that, without any further research, I'm going to conjecture that that's the case for the other things. We already know that the center core and some of the other elevators cameras are off by our earlier research back when we presented the arrival on the 30th in the AM morning. So it looks like a consistent thing. It looks like most of the cameras in and around that center core area are a little slow, and you have to adjust them forward a little bit. Or excuse me, they're a little fast and you have to adjust them backwards, so that the time between the elevator trips up and the lock and the room entries are closer together. But I'll get into the details of that, of course, in another video. Now let's take and review it. What does all this mean? What this means is that this exercise of creating these charts and overlaying them worked out pretty well, because one, it gave us a graphical interpretation of each of the contributions to those aspects to the overall picture. Two, we could combine them and we can see where they conflict or where they support each other. And so it's a very quick visual way. It could have been done in other ways, and I have at times done it other ways. But I find this the most pleasurable and informative. It takes a great deal of work, but it's the most pleasurable and informative. Now overall, what we found is that the MGM video stuff and the lock interrogation stuff seem to jive pretty good with minor tweaks. However, when you start talking about the fit timeline and the fit overview, it's not very well fitting. Some things are okay, other things aren't. And so major modifications to the fit timeline have to be made to accommodate the lock interrogation report and the MGM videos. So in terms of being good sources of information, accurate and precise, first we get the lock interrogation report, then we have MGM videos, and finally we get the fit timeline. It's the least trustworthy. It's the one requiring the greatest modification, and it's the one that generates the largest number of questions, all based upon this visual analysis via graphics. And, well, that pretty much wraps it up. And we'll catch you in the next one.